Welcome to Elite Expert Insider Podcast, where we will inspire, motivate, and educate entrepreneurs, innovators, and growth seekers. Brought to you by Elite Online Publishing, making the best and brightest in the industry #1 best-selling authors. 80% of people say they want to write a book. We're assuming that's the same for you. If so, contact us at www.eliteonlinepublishing.com and make your book a reality. Hey, how are you doing? It's Melanie Johnson along with Jen Foster for another great podcast. How are you doing today, Jen?
Doing great.
Awesome. All right. Have you thought about branding your company? Marketing and branding are two totally different things. So sometimes you think they're the same, but it's really the image, the culture, what you're transpiring. I mean, Nike has a brand. Of course, it's really changed lately with what they've been putting out, but we all have a brand. So you have to be cognizant of that it goes everywhere. So today we have a branding expert, Amber Griffiths, and she is going to teach you how to brand your company the right way, the smart way, and we're going to learn tons. But first, remember to subscribe to our podcast. So hit that button. I think it's below you. Make sure you subscribe, and leave us your comments. We want to hear what you think, and tell us other people you'd like to hear from. If there's someone you'd like to have us interview, or if there's something you'd like to learn, let us know, and we'll pursue that and get it on the air. So thanks, Amber. Thanks for coming today.
Thank you so much for having me. It's my pleasure. This is going to be fun.
Yeah. Well, first of all, tell us kind of where you came from and how you became this Rockstar Branding Agency.
Oh my goodness. Let's see here. I've been in the industry for a little over 20 years. And so there have been several versions of the rock star that is now who I am. I started in corporate and I made a jump into my own business in 2007. But I've been in marketing and branding since 1988. So I've seen a few things. I've seen a few trends. And really what it comes down to is I love working with a business owner. It doesn't matter if they're a startup, an entrepreneur, a big corporation. It doesn't matter what the budget is. Some of the foundational issues are always the same. And so it just comes back to, I like to bring them back to the basics. I'm like, quit trying to run around doing what your competition's doing. Let's not, in fact, if you want a logo, that's step 4 of the process of branding. So let's really take a step back and make sure that it's solid so that it works with you.
I love that you said that, because I think a lot of people are always like, okay, branding, I need a logo, I need a website. It's like, wait, no, don't start there. So tell us a little more about that.
No, oh my goodness. No, like I said, the logo is it's an important part, and it's kind of the ambassador, the flagship of your brand. But ultimately, your brand, the way I define branding is it is everything you say and everything you do to create and nurture a powerful, profitable relationship with your ideal client. So that's everything that you say. It is your website. It is your social memes. It's your email signature. It's your business card. People act like business cards are nothing. They really are an important part of your brand. But it all starts with 3 basic questions, which is who are you, what do you offer, and who do you serve? And so if you can get really super authentic about that and dig into your core values and identify your vision. As entrepreneurs, usually we jump from corporate or jump from nothing to entrepreneurship because we see that there is a problem with the world. There's some kind of an issue, some kind of a challenge, and we look at it and think, oh my goodness, I have a fix for that. I have a solution for that. And so when we lose sight of that, that's when the brand kind of goes off the rails. That's when your marketing stops working as well as it used to, or as well as you think it should. So you just got to go back to the basics and say, okay, why did I do this? Where's my vision? And for me, it is all about both the joy and the money. I know a lot of really wealthy, miserable people because they lost sight of their joy and they lose sight of their vision. And so if you can focus on the thing that brings you the absolute most joy, the money follows and everything just is easy and fun and works.
What are some of the biggest issues you think that businesses have with their branding?
Oh, probably, I would say one of the number one things is they get caught up in the competition. And they start looking around thinking, okay, well, this is my industry. What is everybody else in my industry doing? And the bottom line is you can look at all the competition you want, but it's working for them because it's their way. It's their story, their vision, their clients. So you can't do something exactly that way and have it work the same way. So I watch these entrepreneurs, and again, large corporations get caught up in, okay, what's everybody else doing? what I tell them is, when you are super clear about who your ideal client is, what their challenges are, what their needs are, what their pain points are, and you can focus in on them and you can craft a message that reflects you and attracts them, what you'll realize is there is no competition. These people are yours. They're looking for you specifically, not just anyone to deliver the solution. They're looking for you. So there is no competition. There is no noise. It's just you and your ideal client correcting some of these challenges, getting past the stumbling blocks, and winning, and making money, and being happy.
Yeah.
That's really smart advice. So you have some other tips that you do with your clients. I mean, you're the rock star of branding.
Yeah.
So what are some of that? Let's go a little bit deeper. And we've got the first part that you said, ask those 3 questions and some of the mistakes that people make. So what's the next layer after that?
I think maybe it's even a prior level, because it's the rock star part of it. You hear rock star a lot. That's awesome and woohoo and yay, everybody's rocking it. For me, not only because music is in my background and I've been on stage before, but for rock star, it means 100% you. No apologies, no caveats, no disclaimers. I mean, when was the last time you went to a rock concert and the lead singer walks out on stage kind of limping and going, oh, I'm just so tired. I'm so sorry. I haven't written anything new since 1994, but whatever. Never. That's not what they do. They walk out and they plant their feet firmly in center stage and say, I'm here, you're here, let's rock. Let's do this. So it really is about claiming your voice 100%. I watch so many entrepreneurs, and part of why they fail is because their vision is this big. But then they create this business plan that takes us like 10% of it. It's how when I got first started, I was like, I'm going to do graphic design. It's easy to explain what I do. It's safe. It's fun. And after about 8 years into that, I'm like, there's got to be more. There just has to be more, because I love being a graphic designer, but it's like this much of what I am and what I can offer. So that's really where that entrepreneur, I'm like, you're exploring, you can't figure out why you're not making the impact you want to make and really progressing in your business. It's because you're playing at this much because you're afraid of the other 90%. Mm-hmm. So I just tell them, own it 100%. This is your story, your voice. Just claim it. 100%, no apologies.
I love that. I was talking to an Instagram specialist yesterday. She's a personal trainer and a coach, and she helps people with their social media. And I was telling her, like, I don't like to share my Instagram because it's more of just for my kids and my family.
Yeah.
And she's like, yeah, but you share some of it to Facebook. Like you share, and you're doing a lot there. And I'm like, that's true. And she's like, well, your brand is you and who you are, and people want to see what you're doing. And it's okay if they see that you're traveling and with your kids. And I'm like, yeah, I guess that's true. And I was looking at it in a totally different way. It was like that 10% you were talking about. I was like, okay, yeah, here's my 10% when I should be branding myself 100%. This is who I am. So absolutely. I like that's kind of resonating with me, what you're saying.
There's something about, we all have this facade, I've got all my stuff together, there's no issues here, everything's working really, really well. But if you share some of that, I mean, you get to decide what privacy level you are at. But if you share some of those, hey, this is me as a human, this is me screwing up, this is me not with my stuff together. It's part of that. Entrepreneurs don't like to ask for help because it completely destroys that I've got all my stuff together nonsense that they tell people and they tell themselves. Mm-hmm. But if you reach out just a little bit and say, I want to stay in my zone of genius, that one thing I do really, really well, and I'm going to outsource everything else, I'm going to let it go, they actually become stronger. Their brand becomes stronger than when they're sitting in that office going, oh, sure, I can do that too. Oh, you bet I'll do that too. Oh, it completely dilutes their brand because then I don't know what you do. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, there's 2 different pieces there, but yeah.
How often do you think you have to reevaluate your brand and say, where are we? Should we stick with what we're doing? Because, the environment always changes. Technology is changing.
Absolutely.
Go in and reevaluate that and maybe, do a makeover, so to speak.
I love that you asked that. I think it's great because so many people are like, I just want to get my brand done. And they use that word done. I'm like, okay, well, you're going to have to get past that. That's not a thing. It'll never actually be done, especially if it's the relationship between you and your ideal client. You're a person, they're a person, everything changes, everything fluctuates. So what I usually recommend is, depending on which portion of your brand, I would say 6 months to a year. I call it the branding evolution, because in about 6 months, if you want to, part of what I walk through is when we're talking about claiming your voice, the very first step of claiming your voice and your vision. About every 6 months, I go back and revisit my own core values, making sure that there's still, that my behavior, because everything I hold dear and everything I hold as important will affect my behavior, and it will drive my business. So about every 6 months, I go back and just kind of revisit, just kind of do a little check. But once a year, I will revisit everything. The really good news is if you create your brand rather than collect it, just randomly, I just need this, I need this is what my budget allows, this is what the necessity is. You can keep track of it and keep it clear and cohesive, so that every single time you add something new, you have what I call a brand soundtrack, which is this one-stop resource of everything in your brand, making sure that this new piece belongs, make sure it fits. So when you keep that in mind, then I would say once a year, you can go through and just make sure everything's still up to date, make sure it still sounds like you, feels like you, still attracts your ideal client the way you want it to.
I like that. And we recently changed our logo at the beginning of the year, and I heard something right after we changed our logo that they said, when you go to change your logo, it's usually about the time when people start recognizing your old logo, and then you go and change it on. So I don't know what kind of philosophy thought about that, but I thought about that, and I was like, that's true. Like, now everyone's, recognizes us as this, and now we changed it.
I will tell you, I work with so many people who are like, I just need a facelift, but I don't dare. In fact, when I changed from my old company to this one, I had a business card that had both logos. Completely confusing. And it wasn't, because I thought, my old clients don't know me, and what if they, they won't recognize the new logo? And then as I get to talking to them, they're like, I don't even know what you're talking about. I work with you. You're still Amber, right? Like, this is going to be fine.
Right.
So I realized I was way more attached to the old look than any of my clients had ever been. They were like, no, it's just you. We're good. Just whatever. It's blue. It's purple. Okay, let's go.
It's personal. Yeah. It is more of a personal thing. I think that, and
yeah.
when we changed ours, it was kind of not painful, but it was, like moving out of your house or something. Like,
yeah.
Is the other one going to be just as good? I kind of like this about that house, but okay.
Yes, but this one has a wraparound porch. It's going to be better. It's going to be great.
Yeah, I have good memories about that. How do you represent your brand with content? What's a good way to have continuity with your content along all platforms? I mean, we have to be everywhere now. It used to be business. You were just sending, mail out to people, regular mail, snail mail, and had billboards and some commercials. Now we have to be all these different places. So what's a great way to try and keep continuity throughout your brand on all those places?
There's a couple different ways I would recommend. The first is, again, getting that foundation that's super clear and super authentic, so that anytime you create something, you don't have to remember what BS you were selling a minute ago, because it's still just coming from your heart. So it's still authentic, it's still true. You also, I would recommend keeping the ideal client in mind at all times. Make sure they're your focus. Mm-hmm. So if they're on Facebook, if they're on LinkedIn, if it is a postcard snail mail, if it's an e-newsletter, as long as you keep them and their challenges and the solutions you're creating for them in mind, it will stay consistent. What I like to do is, when I help companies craft their message, I don't like here's your 10 words that you say every single time verbatim, because then it's very robotic and it's very cold and nobody really attaches to that. We create a series of words saying, this is how we like to be referred to. This is how we want our ideal clients to think of us. This is how I want to be remembered when I'm gone. And so having a library list in that brand soundtrack, having that list of, these are the words we like to use. This is the way we like to talk about this. We don't say it's like the cars that a decade ago went from used to pre-loved to pre-owned, pre-used. They don't like to use the word used anymore. So if you create your own vocabulary and write it down so you don't have to remember it, it's easy to keep those same vocabulary in all of your marketing. And if you also identify the tone, are you formal? Are you very authoritative? Or are you, expert next door? Hey, let's just rock this. Let's do this. Keeping that tone and that level of formality the same across the board is going to make sure everything flows consistently.
Yeah, I think Cafe Rio does a really good job with that, because they kind of have their little brand that's around the way they talk, the way that their logo is, the way their food,
Yeah,
like everything kind of wraps around that. And on their social media, they talk a certain way, and their
yeah,
commercials, they talk a certain way. Have that
yeah.
way.
I think when you get tied up into what is everybody else saying, and when you get caught up in, oh, I just have to hurry and do this Facebook post. I should be doing this. I should be doing this. You should all over your business, and you lose track of why you were there to begin with. So if you focus on that idle client, say, okay, sit down and put yourself in their shoes. What do they need to hear?
Mm-hmm.
Then that's going to be more consistent on every single platform you decide to use.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I like
That makes
that.
sense.
Mm-hmm.
What are any other last tips that you can give us for branding?
Oh, branding. Have fun. Just have fun with it. It gets to be this scary, awful, weird, big thing that people are like, I don't know what to do with it. If you focus on the basics, everything else flows really well. Everything flows smoothly. You know exactly the words to say because you know who you're saying them to. And if your idle client, here's the number one. If your idle client isn't on the other end of it, stop it. Don't bother. It doesn't matter how cheap, it doesn't matter how easy, it doesn't matter if it came in a cluster that you purchased for $4. If your ideal client isn't on the other end of that, knock it off. Let it go.
I love that. I'm going to use that. We're going to use that for our philosophy. We get different opportunities. Is our ideal client going to be there? Should we go to this
Yeah,
conference? Do this for everything, really, even not just with branding, for everything that you
for
do.
everything.
Client on the other end of that,
Yeah.
to get you business and to
Yeah.
help you succeed. Are there any technology things that you use for branding? Anything that can help a business owner out? Any new tech that you're using, even if it doesn't have to do with that?
Oh, yes. I have the coolest thing. Talk about staying in your zone of genius and letting go of everything else. I have hired a company that does repurposing content. And they mostly focus online, but it's not just social. It's newsletters, it's website, it's podcasts, it's blogs, it's all those things. And so essentially I get to create my content once, and I come on my Facebook Live or my speaking, which is this is where I'm good. This is what I like to do. And they take it and create everything else from that. So I create the content, but they repurpose it for all the things. I have a blog that gets updated every single week. I'm on Facebook and LinkedIn and Instagram. And I just sit back and hey, and so they completely take care of it for me. So find your local company that does that. The one I really would recommend is Admin Ease. They're amazing. And when they say they're going to do it, it's done. They're great.
So do they transcribe, they'll transcribe the podcast for you, and then they'll take of it and put it all over the place?
Yep.
That's awesome.
It's fabulous. I'm that saves me so much time, and I get to have this. It keeps your message consistent. We talked about that. It keeps your message consistent across all your platforms, and you don't have to repeat yourself. You don't have to recreate the wheel every time you want to post something. It's really awesome.
I love it. I think that's a great hack.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And content is king, so that's great. You only have to create it once, and then they do the rest.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So tell us where we can reach you.
Excellent. I would love for you to reach me. You can find me at yourbrandbydesign.com. Right there, if you do yourbrandbydesign.com/duet, DUET, that is where you and I get to have a one-on-one conversation, completely complimentary. This is part of where we get to kind of dive into what your business is doing, where your challenges are, and see where the little tweaks can be done that will just make everything just magically just amazing. You can also follow me on Facebook. It's Branding Rockstar, and I do Facebook Live every single Thursday and give tips and explanations of how to adjust your brand and upgrade your brand, and it's way fun. It's way fun.
Excellent. Thanks, Amber. We'll put that link up at the bottom of this video for YouTube.
Thank you.
And for everyone else, just remember to go to yourbrandbydesign.com.
Thank you.
/duet to get your free thing. We were saying we give away so much free stuff here every time, and we need to take more advantage of the free stuff. So make sure you're taking advantage of the free stuff. And that's the other good thing. When you subscribe to our podcast, you always learn a ton and you get something free. to help you or your business, your health, your wellness, your spirituality. We cover it all over here. So make sure you subscribe to our podcast. And if you're thinking of writing a book, by the way, we would love to help you. Jen and I own Elite Online Publishing, and we are rock stars of publishers, just like Amber is a rock star of branding. So all of our authors have been #1 bestsellers, and we would love to help you accomplish the same thing. We'll see you next time right here at Elite Expert Insider.
Bye.
Thank you.
If you'd like to create the most powerful advertising tool for your business, contact us at eliteonlinepublishing.com, where we will help you create, publish, and make your book a #1 bestseller and show you how to get new leads and more revenue for your business. If you'd like to check us out on our Facebook page, we have a free book for you as our gift. Just go and click free book. Remember to subscribe and leave a comment for our podcast. We would love to hear from you.